On Monday the 13th of January 2020, we set sail from Admiral Marina in Port Dickson for Pangkor Island. This was to be a short stop en route to Penang Island, where we were meeting Justine and Paul, arriving from the UK to spend a few weeks with us. Getting into our anchorage that afternoon, though, was a tad tricky, considering it was low tide by the time we reached the entrance of Selat Lemut, and there was a fishing net straight across the deepest water. Our entertainment for the evening was watching the fishermen partake in drift net fishing, something we hadn't seen before, but unbeknownst to us, we were about to get an upfront and personal experience the following day. Mixing it up with numerous cargo ships the following morning was not the best start to the day, though, as we progressed up Selat Klang Selatan towards Port Klang. We reached our intended anchorage off Unsa Lighthouse much sooner than expected. So with 7 hours of daylight remaining and the current definitely with us by then, we decided to continue on with a plan of anchoring somewhere south of the Burnham River. That was a huge mistake. We had no sooner anchored and were settling in for the night when fishermen approached us and told us we couldn't anchor in the spot we were in. With sunlight only an hour away, we were informed that we had to move to the next bay some 7 nautical miles away, but that was the least of our worries. It was the millions of fishing nets that were already set that were the nightmare we had to navigate through. Zigzagging this way and that, we eventually made it through the maze as daylight faded and we dropped the anchor again. As we approached the island of Pangkor on Wednesday the 15th of January 2020, we were reminded of Belitung in Indonesia with the similar limestone rock formations. Deciding to anchor off Pangkor Marina for the first night, we had another bum-lifting entrance with less than 2 feet under the keel as we crossed the deepest part of the bar at low tide. We did, however, find the deeper hole where cruisers before us have ventured, and by 14:30 we were anchored for a quiet overnight pit stop. Unfortunately, we had ferries coming ridiculously and totally unnecessarily close to Pawpaw. The first ferry the following morning was our cue to weigh anchor and leave mainland Malaysia for Pangkor Island. After dinghying ashore and arranging a taxi, our plan for the day was to visit the Dutch fortress and from there walk to the Phu Ling Kong temple. It didn't take us long, however, to realize that the Google Maps distances were way off. Fortunately, our taxi driver Sam jumped to the rescue and offered us a tour of the island, and with that a wonderful unexpected day of adventures unfolded. As our tour progressed, it became abundantly clear that we were experiencing rural Malaysia for the first time. There were very few cars or motorcycles on the road, no traffic lights, no fast food chains, no malls or supermarkets, no restaurants, bars and cafes. There were, however, plenty of eating facilities scattered across the small villages we drove through. It was, however, a very industrious little island. These fishing boats, which cost around 2 million ringgit to build, are built on the east shores of Pangkor Island. They're all handcrafted from teak and take roughly 6 months to construct. At the anchovy factory, we learned that once the anchovies are caught, they are cooked on board the fishing boats immediately to capture the flavor, following which they are brought ashore to be dried in areas that resemble the size of football fields, then sorted and packaged at the local fish factory. Our last historic destination was the Chinese temple Phu Ling Kong. Built over 100 years ago at the foot of Pangkor Hill, it is decorated with large rocks and stones, and in addition to the beautiful arch which welcomes visitors, it has a majestic temple wall and a miniature replica of the Great Wall of China in the garden to the rear of the large temple hall. Inside the temple, embedded in the rocks, were a variety of Chinese deities to whom the worshippers offer their prayers. It was a fascinating glimpse into this aspect of life on the island. This floating mosque was definitely the highlight of our tour. Seeing it from the sea as we approached Pangkor Island was one thing, but being allowed to enter it was an entirely different matter altogether. Having to wear the full robes, including the headdress for Elaine, was worth every minute we enjoyed. It was the first time ever we had had the privilege of entering a mosque, and we couldn't have picked a more beautiful one for the experience. We were told ahead of time that parts of the Quran are inscribed on the walls, but we had no idea what to expect. It was stunning. The following day we decided a snorkel was in order, so we got in the dinghy and headed around to Coral Beach, in particular to Guillaume Island. Unfortunately, the snorkeling wasn't that great, and it was more akin to swimming in green tea. We did, however, enjoy the beautiful scenery before heading back to Pawpaw. Once back on board, Roy decided to check Pawpaw's bottom, and we discovered that we had indeed caught a fishing net on our way up to Pangkor. Although there was nothing that could remotely be described as affluent, opulent, or prosperous by material standards regarding daily life on Pangkor Island, everyone we met was very friendly, helpful, and humble, content with their way of life, and it was obvious that our tour guide was very proud of his island, informing us that people here have a slow pace of life. There's no crime, and one never has to lock one's doors at night. For us, Pangkor Island was a treasure trove, very unexpected and a delightful little island.